Meanwhile, new reporting is raising serious questions about the Trump administration's push to rapidly expand the ICE workforce. According to The Atlantic, more than a third of new recruits are failing basic fitness tests, push-ups, sit-ups, even a short run, with senior ICE officials using words like pathetic and disaster to describe the process. The agency is under pressure to add 10,000 new officers by January, but insiders say that rush may be compromising safety standards and the credibility of ICE itself. Joining us now, the reporter behind that story, Nick Miroff. He's a staff writer for The Atlantic. Nick, just how much have the standards changed here, and what seems to be the disconnect? Why are people failing at such a high rate?
Well, applicants who have been part of this giant recruitment push had to self-certify that they could meet ICE's fitness standards. But what we found was that of the classes that have been sent to the training academy in Georgia, more than a third are failing the basic fitness test, even after some of its requirements had been eased. But basically, you have to do 15 push-ups, 32 sit-ups, and be able to run a mile and a half in 14 minutes. And so so many of their new recruits were unable to do that they're now asking all of their field offices around the country to conduct like preliminary screenings on candidates before they're sent to the academy in order to weed out people who just aren't up to the job.
Yeah, because this comes as the administration is, of course, putting more pressure on ICE to meet monthly minimums of detainments for detainees. We talked earlier in our last hour about the implications of that from a health perspective once detainees are actually put in these holding facilities. But are officials now concerned that the agency is losing control of its own standards in order to meet the administration's demands?
Well, they're just going very, very fast, right? I mean, putting 10,000 new deportation officers on the streets by January, it means essentially more than doubling the size of ICE's officer corps in a matter of months. DHS says that most of those officers are going to be law enforcement officers from other agencies that they're hiring who don't have the same sort of fitness test requirements. They're able to self-certify, but they're going to be putting a lot of people on the street who don't have a lot of experience. The agency has already been overtaxed by this pressure to meet, arrest quotas and the president's demand for 1 million deportations a year. So the veteran officers who I talk to frequently are just, very worried about things going badly, sloppy work, and, frankly, some of the new recruits who they're going to have to work alongside with in very stressful situations.
I was going to say, are they worried about that being a liability for them, for the people that they could be detaining or interacting with? I mean, I think that's the ultimate concern here is safety for all people involved in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth keeping in mind that the way that the Trump administration is using ICE right now is not the way that ICE officers have traditionally performed. A lot of what they've been doing for the past
Yes.
decade or more is almost like case management, and they're, the idea that they're going to be out on the streets chasing people through parking lots and tackling suspects, this kind of work is not the norm for the majority of ICE officers. And so the job has gotten more demanding, more physical, and, it just puts more pressure, on veteran officers to make sure that, things are operating, legally and up to snuff.
Legally and up to snuff. Nick Miroff, this is really great reporting. Thank you for talking about it with us.
Thank you.